Welcome back everyone to more creepy videos. Smash that like button so we can hit 2,000 likes, sub up, and let's dive in.
Have you guys ever heard the story of the CIA faking a vampire attack in the Philippines? It's wild.
Tell us about it.
So this is right after World War II, right? During this time, when the Japanese were occupying the Philippines, all the leaders and stuff, like the presidents, like all that stuff, these people formed their own rebel group. So in 1950, the U.S. sent Lieutenant Colonel Edward Lansdale, one of the founders of the CIA. And so one of the first things that he did was these civilians were hiding these rebel groups. Philippines, there's this mythological creature called the aswang, which is basically like this deity, demon, like winged creature that sucks the blood out of people. So it's like their version of a vampire. And this colonel sent in a group to go covert at night, and they came across these guards and they snatched one of them. They punctured his neck, 2 holes, flipped him upside down, drained all of his blood, left him there.
That is a war crime.
And then they had locals all around the mountain talking about, oh, there's rumors of the aswang being around these regions and stuff. And then the next day they find this guy who's drained of blood. They're all dispersed. They're like, we're out of here.
The CIA may have created an event to deceive the Philippines into thinking the Aswang is real, but this doesn't take away the fact that Aswang, among other mythological creatures, could be real. It just so happens that they're blocking out the sun, but why?
Media, I believe. The whole media is controlled by a few corporations thanks to deregulation by the FCC.
You mean Disney, Fox, Westinghouse, and good old GE?
They own networks from CBS to CNBC.
They can use them to say whatever they please and put down the opinions of anyone who disagrees.
Or stuff about PCBs.
What are PCBs?
They come from electric power plants built by Westinghouse and GE.
They can give you lots of cancer that can hurt your body.
They put down the opinions of anyone who disagrees. Let's include not showing the truth and only showing false narratives into the mix too.
Y'all, I cannot believe what we are seeing. Last night, in the middle of the night, Charlie Kirk, mainstream Charlie Kirk, posted this video from the cockpit of a plane with this huge UFO. This is not just like a hand-me-down type video. He was literally present. He recorded this. He was literally with the pilots when they're seeing this, and they told him that it was wrapping around their plane. I'm gonna show you some pieces of the video in 1 second. Remember in January when I made a prediction video and said that this year we'd have alien disclosure? And then all freaking year they've been going off about UFOs and aliens. And even further, this giant mothership they're talking about in Indiana fits the description for the second moon, which is actually 2 kilometers. Not 33 foot, like we went over here. And now before we check out the craziest freaking footage of this UFO in real time that we have, the only reason I knew is because if you pay attention, you'll know what's gonna happen next. In 2012, something really big happened with aliens and with humanity. We saw the completion of that in April of this year. And I can't give any more detail on that. But this is not a satellite. It was circling their plane. Y'all are gonna find out soon they're not just holograms. And that aliens are a physical shell for demonic spirits.
And there's nothing on your radar right now?
No, there's nothing there. I think you know.
Now the light's showing out.
They're fine.
Have you ever seen anything like that before?
A couple times in this area.
We're flying over New Mexico,
Yeah.
which is Roswell, which is where all those,
Correct. It's where all the
They're gonna
weird
light
stuff
up
happens.
again.
They're gonna go again.
have you ever seen anything like this?
No.
Satellites go in a line. These are like circle.
Are they like high propulsion devices, you think?
I don't know. I don't
Is that how an aircraft would fly?
I mean, we're at 40,000 feet. So whatever that is, it's got to be at 80,000 or 100,000. There's got to be way up there.
And with it appearing that big and that much bigger than the plane, then that thing is freaking huge. I'm telling you guys, they're coming soon and they're already here and they're already intermingling with humans on the earth walking around. And as Ronald Reagan said, I wonder how fast our differences would aside if we had an alien threat. And this, and we have this, and we have this. Come on, y'all. Wake up.
This just looks like the reflection of the control panels to me, but it could be wrong.
Astronauts. Buzz Aldrin in Hawaii and Buzz Aldrin on the moon. Compare the mountains in the background. Looks quite similar. The Apollo 11 crew without helmets. Werner von Braun on a set with the lunar lander and the retroreflectors. Werner von Braun and Walt Disney. Here Walt Disney again. Stanley Kubrick with NASA officials. A huge outdoor area where craters are created by explosions, where a huge crane was installed above the crater landscape, where the lunar lander is hanging at the crane. Here you can better see the lunar lander with the astronaut and a nice close-up with the NASA logo. Here from another side view, those lines are the edge of the set. Again, Walt Disney and Werner von Braun. Again, Walt Disney on the right, Werner von Braun on the left, and the high-ranked NASA scientist and the moon simulator.
If they created a false event back at that time in history, who's to say how many more has been created since and could be currently?
Oh boy. Not sure who is running that.
Is that a ghost train, or am I just seeing things? Some are calling it the Silver Ghost, and honestly, seeing this rolling through the woods would be enough to make anyone do a double take. Would you hop on, or is this a one-way ticket to a paranormal party?
Okay. Another one of those ghost trains. Except no one's driving. Huh. Well, that ain't good.
Some viewers spotted a skeleton in the back, chilling as if it's just another day in the afterlife. Others are getting Spirited Away vibes.
I'm not going to lie, but if I witnessed this in the middle of the night, I'd just leave my car and risk getting lost in the forest.
What if I told you that your phone's flashlight is secretly being used to spy on you? Sounds crazy, right? But think about it. We use our phone flashlights all the time, finding something in the dark, taking a quick picture, or just because it's convenient. But here's the theory. Every time you turn on that flashlight, it could be turning on more than just the light. The flashlight uses the same hardware as your camera and microphone, which means it has access to all kinds of sensitive data. Some believe that when you activate your flashlight, hidden apps or malware can use it as an excuse to secretly turn on your camera or microphone without you realizing. Ever wonder why certain apps ask for flashlight access when they don't need it? They might be collecting more information than you think, like your conversation surroundings or even what you're looking at, but it gets deeper. Some theorists say that the flashlight function is used to track your location in real time. Since the light is often used when you're on the move, it could provide valuable data about where you are and what you're doing at any given moment, feeding that information back to companies or even third-party data collectors. So, the next time you flip on your phone's flashlight, ask yourself, is it really just lighting up the dark, or is it lighting up you for someone else to see?
Never mind the flashlight, I've always wanted to know why apps will need access to your Mac calls, messages and contact lists, especially if that app is just a game.
I want you to see the real time of these. Now I want to show you something neat. Show you how fast the action is. And you might be quite startled. Let me zoom in. This is real-time view of a magnetic field. Now, I'm going to make a few of these tonight, these ferrocells. Not the viewing device, which is just a ring of LEDs. You can actually see the plane of inertia. Look at that. N42 Gauss 10 millimeter balls. Now I'm going to replace those with a broken ring magnet. What do you think a broken ring magnet looks like? Absolutely stunning. If you actually had this in your hands and you look down on it from a steep angle instead of down below like the camera's doing right now, let me turn this with my thumb. See, this is real time. There are no electronics or power here other than the LED power and lighting that's driving the LEDs. This is a new, wholly new, much faster, more sensitive ferrule cell creation. Much faster. Let's take that off. Okay. And place the cubes, which are hard to find because they're tiny little cubes. Look at that. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. This ferrule cell is the creation of the new solution of Mike Palazzolo, an electrical engineer. Now what we're aging, this is, see how thin this is? This is the ring magnet. Infinitely more sensitive. Can you see inside there? Ring magnet and little cubes. Let me slide it on here. I'll let you take a look.
Cymatics is interesting in a lot of ways, and through that clip I couldn't help but think about the patterns we all have in our eyes, and if it has any significance in how we see light and other things as individuals.
I don't know what to do with this information, but I feel like I need to share it anyways. This topic was popular for a while. Biblically accurate angel heads, eyes everywhere, tons of wings that don't even make sense. Connection started whenever this morning I asked ChatGPT to explain the difference between 3D and 4D, and it basically said, in short, 3D is about space, 4D is space plus. I had it do this from 5D, 6D, all the way through 10D. This is 7 through 10. Using this line of thinking, I asked ChatGPT to expand upon this thought that I had, where maybe in Ezekiel and John and whoever else in the Bible described these biblically accurate angels, maybe they're just in a different dimension. So I asked ChatGPT to expand upon this. GPT did not disappoint. So it basically said, what if these bizarre features of biblically accurate angels are the result of humans in 3D perceiving beings from higher dimensions? When we try to imagine higher dimensions like 4D, 5D, we realize that a being from those dimensions would appear strange to us. Thought must not be an original experience, because it says, creatures from a higher dimension would likely appear fragmented or distorted because our brains are wired to process 3D shapes only. If angelic beings existed in a dimension beyond the third or fourth dimension with eyes, wings, and wheels described, could represent our limited way of interpreting something far more complex. But just represent movement across dimensions. Just as in a higher dimension a being can move freely in ways incomprehensible to us, the wings could symbolize their ability to transcend the restriction of time and space. As far as all the eyes go, we see in the Choir of Thrones, might be another dimension that shows their awareness or their ability to see in ways we cannot. We in 3D only perceive what's directly in front of us, but a higher dimensional being might perceive the entirety of space-time. The wheels upon wheels, ChatGPT considers especially intriguing because in mathematics, hyperspheres and other 4D or 5D objects can resemble circles, or wheels projected into 3D. The wheels within wheels could be an attempt to describe higher dimensional geometries. Deal with seeing cross sections of a higher dimensional object that looked like interconnected circles. Even got into vibrations and saying that higher dimensional beings might also vibrate at frequencies beyond our normal comprehension. These vibrations might be perceived as overwhelming sound or visual phenomena. A being from such a realm could perceive time all at once, past, present, and future. To a 3D observer, this kind of timeless, multi-directional existence can manifest as beings with many faces. This could explain why some angels seem to have faces in multiple directions or appear in forms that blend various creatures, like this one. Their communication methods would transcend what we can comprehend, thus relying on symbolic forms like the ones we just talked about to approximate their meaning. So these biblical depictions are not what they literally physically look like in heaven, but it's just their way of communicating that we can't even understand as a three-dimensional creature. It's another area where science and the Bible.
This kind of makes sense to a degree, almost like a Tower of Levels. Could this be the reason why so many see these multi-dimensional beings when on acid?
When I was 15 years old, I got exposed to an organization called the Brotherhood. And this group took me in and taught me how to use the law of attraction. They told me that I could have, be, or do anything I wanted. Einstein, pretty smart guy. Right. Thomas Edison, obviously one of the greatest inventors of all time. They both said at the turn of the century that the human brain is virtually a transmitter and receiver of frequency. They said that, not me. Medical science poo-pooed this for years. Your brain emits frequency. The key is, how do you train it so that it emits the correct frequency of what you want? The secret and the law of attraction doesn't tell you that missing secret ingredient. It's the missing key. It's the element that makes this work. And so what I teach is I'll teach you what I learned from the Brotherhood. And quite frankly, these are the same techniques that members of Skull and Bones have learned from Yale University, the Bilderberg group. Some people may be familiar with some of these organizations. When you get to the highest level in Freemasonry, 33rd degree level in Freemasonry, these are secrets of these various associations and societies on how to, we call it manipulating energy, to really just how to beam the frequency of your brain of what you want so that it will come into your life.
The law of attraction thing wouldn't be for me, to be honest, but it may be for some of you. But on another note, what effect does outside frequencies like phones and Wi-Fi's have on our brains?
I mean, I've never seen anything like that before. Look at this, Joe. Okay. Joseph Gamble. What is that, man? The fuck is that?
It sort of looks like the skull of a dinosaur from the Jurassic Park logo.
Did you know the Great Sphinx has a tail? And that it also may have been built by the civilization of Atlantis thousands of years earlier than mainstream history suggests for a very specific purpose. Welcome to Phil's Pixel. According to this theory, the Sphinx was not made by the ancient Egyptians. We're told it was built about 4,500 years ago, around 2500 BC, but many believe it was constructed by a civilization that far predates anything we know. The Sphinx itself doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't even exist. For one, the ancient Egyptians were obsessed with recording everything they did. Yet, just like the pyramids, despite there being hieroglyphs that go back 5,000 years and more, not a single one of them mentions the Sphinx at all. One mainstream theory suggests the Sphinx was built as a sort of guardian of the pyramids to protect the pharaoh's treasures, but over time lost its significance, and the Egyptians just forgot to mention it in any of their texts. Like anywhere, no records of when it was built, for what purpose, or why its head is so small. Just look at it. The most immediate observation of the Sphinx is how tiny its head is compared to the rest of its body. It doesn't even remotely fit proportionally with its enormous body and just looks awkward, like it was done by accident. As you may know, ancient Egyptians were masters of proportion with their art, carvings, and statues. In fact, they are quite literally world famous for it. Statues they carved like these are notoriously known for being scarily precise, almost like they were machine made. You're telling me the guys who precisely calculated all four edges of a 146-meter high pyramid to meet perfectly at the top at the same time, a marvel of engineering even by today's standards, made the mistake of getting the head too small on a monument as important as the Sphinx, said to be the face of Khafre, the successor of Khufu, yet many agree it does not look like any other depictions of Khafre across ancient Egypt. As a matter of fact, it appears as if the Sphinx once had a much larger head, thought to have originally had the head of a dog, or perhaps a lion with a full mane, and by the time the ancient Egyptians discovered it, they gave it a facelift, making it look more human and inadvertently ruining the proportions in the process. Because whoever did build the Sphinx dug it directly into the limestone bedrock beneath it, carving and hollowing out an entire enclosure around it. The blocks that were cut out of this bedrock were used to build the Temple of the Sphinx right in front of it, which have mostly deteriorated over time. Now, this right here, this is the part that sealed the deal, all but confirming we've gotten the age of the Sphinx wrong all these years, even among skeptics. With initially doubtful professional geologists like Robert Schoch traveling to Egypt with the intention of proving these fringe theories wrong. Yet, upon seeing it up close for the first time from the perspective of a geologist rather than an archaeologist, he realizes it is scientifically accurate to suggest the Sphinx is far older than we claim, because water erosion patterns around the enclosure indicate that heavy weathering by either strong or prolonged streams of water have occurred here. The Sphinx water erosion hypothesis. He and many others concluded that patterns like these definitely could not have been weathered by natural wind and sand, and also confirmed that these could not have been as a result of the Nile River flooding, leading to one of two choices: either consistent rainfall over thousands of years or super intense flash flooding. Climate data confirms this part of Egypt saw very little rainfall over the past 5,000 years, leaving us only with option 2, powerful floods. And the last era that fits the criteria that aligns with the rock patterns here was around 9600 BC, suggesting the Sphinx to be closer to 11,600 years old, conveniently lined up with the time of the Younger Dryas. And around 12,000 years ago, the Sphinx would have been facing in the direction of the constellation of Leo at the time, a lion, leading us back to the idea that the Sphinx may have originally been a lion monument with a much larger head facing the constellation that it represented, only to get washed away and buried for thousands of years, get rediscovered by the ancient Egyptians, and then forgotten again, until the 1800s, around which time the top of its head became visible from shifting sands. Then in the 1920s, the first official excavation started, finishing in 1936 for the very first time in a long time, from which many involved with the project agreed the depth that it was buried at did not match anything else in the area. There's no way the Sphinx could have been that deep underground by accident, leading them to strongly believe it was intentionally buried. And why? Because it may have been built as a safekeeper of knowledge for the legendary Atlantean Hall of Records that still exists hidden beneath it to this day. We'll dive into that one next time, and reminder, this is just a theory. For entertainment purposes only, may or may not be true, so shut the fuck up.
I always find Egyptian history very interesting, and I don't know if the Egyptians found the Great Sphinx or not, but I know that biblical text does depict Egypt as a very powerful and ancient civilization.
Scene coming out of an ice cream machine at a fast food restaurant, and honestly people, this has got to be one of the worst submissions I have ever seen. It's safe to say that I'm never eating any ice cream again from any kind of fast food restaurant. This is the original submission provided by the undercover employee, and this is what they've said. Yo, I found thousands of worms in the ice cream machine at work, and bro, I am horrified, seriously, had no clue we were serving this to customers. Low-key feel bad, but there was nothing I could do, not gonna lie. It's safe to say that this ice cream machine has definitely not been cleaned in absolutely ages. I don't know if they're maggots or if they're worms or what, but the fact is that they're in there tells me all I need to know about the cleanliness of this takeaway and restaurant. I'm just in absolute disbelief that this restaurant and takeaway have been serving ice cream to customers and they've been eating it with all those worms on it. Surely these restaurants and takeaways need to have stricter measures in place to prevent this sort of stuff from happening again. Surely the Food Standards Agency and Environmental Health need to be informed about this, because this is insane. You can literally see them all moving around. I don't know if they've been there for ages or how long they've been there, but the fact they're in there tells me all I need to know about this restaurant. Let me know your thoughts on this one, people. Would you still eat an ice cream after seeing this video?
Well, at least we know it didn't come from McDonald's, because McDonald's never had their machines working.
What insects zoomed in looks like? Ant. Dragonfly. Cricket. Worm. Fly. Maggot.
The cricket looks like that one guy you see in the bar when you lift up your pint of Guinness and across a table you see him just standing there staring at you, looking to drill your face.
People from 123 years ago staring at us, unaware that we would be looking back from 2024.
We don't know how hard things were back in their time, but seeing smiles on their faces makes me want to go back in that time and live with them.
In 1960, a mother woke up at midnight to her phone ringing. She hesitantly walked down the stairs and answered it, but there was only silence on the other end. And then after a few seconds, she heard a click in the dial tone. She was creeped out, but figured it was probably nothing and decided to go back to bed. but just an hour later, she awoke once again to the sound of someone in her house. The only phone in the house was downstairs, but unfortunately that seemed to be where the noises were coming from. Figuring that she had no other options, she turned the lights on and started to creep down the stairs, hoping to get to the phone and call the police. But before she could make it to the first floor, the light suddenly went out and the noise seemed to stop. She bolted straight to the phone and picked up the receiver, just to realize that the phone line had been cut. And then a couple of seconds later, she noticed a silhouette of a short man standing in her living room. Before she could react, he ran at her, immediately threatening her and demanding money. He appeared to be wearing a leathery mask, an old musty overcoat, and nail-studded bracelets, which made the woman believe that his intentions were much worse than a simple robbery. She tried her absolute best to push and shove him away, but this only made the intruder fight back harder. But in the midst of the struggle, they heard another set of footsteps coming down the stairs and briefly paused. Once the intruder realized it was the mother's 14-year-old daughter, he threw the mother to the side and chased the daughter back up the stairs. The mother, realizing that now was her only chance to escape, sprinted out the front door into her neighbor's house for help. When they returned, they found the daughter had been assaulted but was fortunately still alive. However, the intruder appeared to be long gone. Once the police arrived, they told the mother that she had been attacked by what the locals called the Beast of Jersey. He continued his attacks all the way up until 1970 when 2 patrolling officers caught a man running a red light. After a brief car chase, the officers found his full mask and costume and became highly suspicious. They searched his house and found plans for future victims, a shrine dedicated to the devil, and a small library based on dark magic. Edward Paynell was ultimately sentenced to 30 years but got out after 20 for good behavior.
It's crazy to think his crimes spanned over a decade without being caught, but there were nothing more creepier than seeing a figure with a mask on like that.
Why did they destroy all the Tartarian bells? According to the theory, these bells weren't just for ringing. They were the key to a lost technology. The Tartarian Empire, an advanced civilization that supposedly existed before being erased from history, is said to have used these bells to harness free energy. These massive structures were thought to resonate with the Earth's natural frequencies, converting sound and vibration into an endless power source. Imagine cities powered by nothing but the hum of the planet itself. But after the mysterious fall of Tartaria, something strange happened. The bells started to disappear. Historians tell us they were simply removed or destroyed, but conspiracy theorists believe something more sinister was at play. They claim those in power didn't want this free energy technology to survive, replacing it with systems that keep us dependent on fossil fuels and centralized energy grids. Could this ancient technology have threatened modern control over energy and resources? Even today, some of these bells still exist, hidden in old churches, cathedrals, and bell towers around the world. But their true purpose has been lost to time. Were they just instruments of sound, or were they part of a much larger, forgotten technology? Why would such powerful and efficient technology be wiped from history? And more importantly, who benefited from its destruction?
Where we have moved now, there's no church not too far from us, and they chime their bells 3 times every single morning and then again at 6 p.m. in the evening. So we always try to imagine that it has like some healing properties.
This video takes us to Turkey and was posted by an account that is devoted to sharing videos of large boats and seafaring vessels. In this particular video, he was filming old cruise ships that have been run aground and left abandoned. As he was filming, something can be seen that should not be there, as there is no access to the ships. Access is refused obviously because of the danger of the decaying rusty metal and other obvious reasons. Watch this. Someone or something can be seen walking around inside, and seemingly another figure is sitting down. It's as if it is the ghost of the captain and a crew member, possibly attached to the ship, or their spirits are in a residual loop.
what's your thoughts on this, guys? Do you think it's a ghost ship or just a man simply exploring? I'm aiming to put out more videos every week at 6 PM UK time, so if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button and help us reach 2,000 likes for this video. And I appreciate every single one of you for watching and for your support, and I hope to see you again on the next one. But until then, much love and take care.